Easy E, how are we?
Johnny, I am busy. Well, I am actually not, but I was saying to you during the week, I've a load of new staff members.
You've a load of new staff. Do you know what? This baffled me. So, put the people out of their misery. So I know what the answer is now.
I've acquired 160,000 bees. I am now, whether I like it or not, I'm a beekeeper.
This week on the Any Given Run Day, how the lads getting on with the running? Well,
What?
Sean's doing his Mickey Mouse stuff and, small bit of volume. He's worried about breaking his back again. How's Eric getting on? Well, running wise, absolutely nothing. But, he's keeping busy.
Yeah, got the bees. So it's see, I'm trying not to get injured before my stag party, which is next weekend. So
No,
uh,
you have to do. Okay.
yeah, we'll go for a run. We'll go for a run in when we were away. Bring your t-shirt.
No, we won't.
I will. Bring your t-shirt.
No, you won't.
You won't. Jer has more photos around the world than I do. So yeah, I'm now a beekeeper. You should see me as like Neil Armstrong walking down the field in my bee suit. So what? Every time a bee moves, what's that? So it's good.
Must be petrified though.
First couple of times, yeah, but now it's all right. You get used to it. You get kind of
You trust us
what
too.
to do. Yeah, when you don't know what they're going to do, but they're very predictable and unpredictable at the same time. But yeah, every hive actually has a different personality. Some are a little bit more aggressive, and some are real placid. It's hilarious. But yeah, so jars of honey coming soon with t-shirts.
Jars of, that's the new gimmick now. Jars of honey, honey's the way to go.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing. But running hasn't been great, but it is the triathlon is coming in 3 weeks, whether I like it or not. But
And how you fix for that?
I'm not at all. So we'll see what happens, and if not so good, I don't know if I'll brave it, but we'll see. It's a day out regardless. But no, it is there is a plan incoming. So we even had a chat, myself and Jerry, about it. So there's a good bit of running coming this week.
Okay.
So yeah, just it's the right time. There was a couple of 5Ks, not so much. But yeah, we are actually feeling really good now. It was one of those injuries where you walk around fine all day, you climb up and down ladders, you do whatever. You're like, there's nothing really wrong. Then at the end of the day, going up the stairs, you just feel it. You're just in the knee. You're just like, it's just so weak. But
Niggling.
yeah, niggling. But over the last 2 weeks, a lot of strength and conditioning. A lot of could you call it kind of strength yoga, I suppose, is the best way to do it. It's like holding different poses and strength works and single leg stuff and everything else. But yeah, it's been a really, really frustrating injury. So annoying. I still blame the shoes. Well, I blamed it, but I still, I'm just annoyed. It's been frustrating. It has been very, very frustrating.
Well, to switch gears, I call it isometrics in my world, I think, because I don't like the term yoga. It just puts me off doing it. Well, I know it's good for me. But you talked about triathlon, and you talked before about Nace Triathlon Club. One of their members had a really, really good weekend.
Yeah, Ashling went and won the 70.3 in Spain over the weekend. Absolutely amazing.
And by one, you don't mean just like first AG like she's done before. You mean like one.
Yeah, she was first home out of the ladies. Absolutely phenomenal. I don't know and how you put that into words. I don't know, like, because you see the end product and you are absolutely delighted for them. But the amount of work, effort, sacrifice, training for years and years and years, like, so deserving. What an athlete. Like, we had it with Rachel as well on before. We've had it with a few who've done phenomenal things. It is an amazing achievement. And that's a world championship qualification for her now as well. And it's absolutely phenomenal. It's great for Nace Triathlon Club as well. It's and great for her. It's great for the sport, and it's great for everyone who's watching to see what hard work does. And it's absolutely amazing. Big well done to her.
It's unbelievable. I think it's near 2 years ago since we had our last the podcast. Ashling, if you're listening, shout out. Round 2 is needed, especially after that last weekend. But speaking of previous guests, the podcast, I made a mistake on last week. We talked about like Dublin, we talked about Belfast and stuff, but we didn't give a shout out to one of our fantastic four down in Limerick. Cleena got on. She got a 3:13 5-minute PB on her first marathon. Absolutely phenomenal. I think she won her age group as well, 8th overall female. So huge shout out to them, to her. I was thinking them because moving forward, like our fantastic four from last year has done some pretty cool stuff. I think Aoife got a PB recently. You saw Connor down killing it at the half, Dublin half. I saw Shane was running out the lads there last week in Mayo as well on marathon number, I think it was 12:13 at the time, not so sure. And it's coming up to, we're not going to make a huge announcement now, but keep an eye on the Instagram page because in the next month or so, it's going to be time to try and find maybe Fantastic Four round 2 for Dublin.
Yeah, it's getting to that point, and that's kind of why I'm glad I'm coming on the other side of this because I like to run. So yeah, it is. I'm really looking forward to the next. I don't know actually. Is it unfortunately Dublin has come around so quickly that we start talking about it again, and everybody's looking at their marathon ticket, and it's but it's getting towards that time, and even for me, like it's starting tomorrow is building for Dublin. Like that is the plan. That's the goal. It's so I don't know, is it a good thing or a bad thing? But also a lot of people are reaching out to us about where we're going next year on our trip, and I'm like, haven't even thought about it. So we'll get back.
Do you know about the trip? Actually, just to cut you off, sorry to cut you off on that one. People thought it was Istanbul because you probably hear my voice is gone. Me and you were hanging out on Thursday evening watching the Mighty Villa, and for some reason my voice isn't all right since then. But one of the graphics of the Villa team were like, we're going to Istanbul, and I put it up, and I had Aoife from the Fantastic Four and one or two hours going, oh, is the next stage of your trip is that happening in 2027 in Istanbul? I'm like, I know people tell me I need to go to Turkey, including you, but we haven't made a decision on where we're going just yet.
No, definitely not. But look, we will see. We will get our heads down to that. We've a busy old week ourselves. So we will look at something new for those who are enthusiastic. Again, keep an eye out on the Instagram. We'll have more updates on where we are maybe traveling to next year pretty soon.
Yeah, it's interesting times ahead. And speaking of events and stuff like that, our guest this week in the podcast has done well over 300 marathons, has organised events up north, including this past weekend. I think you'll hear me butcher this plenty of times, the podcast. We Run Wild NI. That's the best I've done it.
Yeah.
I think the Belfast or Dublin to Belfast was on over the weekend, or so much on over the weekend. The guys doing Forever 19 started their trip as well. So shout out to the three boys doing that. But I didn't hear how Dublin to Belfast got on. You'd think I'd do those notes before organising this, but I was too busy watching the end of the Arsenal West Ham game. So I've done a lot of talking. I can't do much more on my voice. I don't know about you, Eric.
No, I'm happy to watch you struggle, Sean. It's good. No, it is. It's great, and this is a good episode. It's again a slightly different one, and some great listenings. We still have plenty more guests to come, and plenty more. So over the next couple of weeks, and we're into the second part. The spring summer collection is over. We're back into the next batch of recordings, which is exciting for us as well. So the next victims are being selected. But yeah, keep an eye out, and any suggestions, keep them coming to us.
Absolutely, either through the DMs on Instagram or info@anygivenrunday.com. With that said, it's this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast. Let's go. Our next guest on the Any Given Run Day podcast has ran over 300 marathons as well as a 100-miler in Berlin, Marathon des Sables, and many more. He is the owner of We Run Wild NI. He is the owner of oh my God. He is the owner of We Run Wild NI. Gary Connolly, welcome to this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast. How are you getting on? I swear I rehearsed that a lot better than that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tongue twister, that one.
Isn't it just? I know Eric's going to nail me for that one. So Eric, the floor is yours.
I was giving you the chance to edit it out, Sean, but now you've talked about it so much, you're going to have to leave it in.
I'm going to have to say later on the podcast, I'm going to get it wrong again. And I apologise in advance, Gary. I apologise in advance.
Gary, you're very welcome to the podcast. Obviously, we're all in t-shirts sponsoring different things we're doing. We Run Wild NI, as Sean was trying to say, is one of yours. How do you get into sport? Have you been around running long, and how did you get involved with running?
Very good question. I done a little bit of running at school a long, long time ago, but nothing competitive. So, obviously, and then how I get into this was I took a decision, for the millennium. So the big thing, obviously, coming up was the millennium, and I thought, well, I'd like to mark it and do something so that I could look back and say, on that date, I done this or done that. So I decided to run a marathon. So my first marathon was on the millennium, and I haven't stopped running basically since. So that's how I get into running.
When you're taking on your first marathon, and obviously big events like the Millennium is a good driving factor, but running wasn't so popular back then. What was around for you as it is today, and with the amount of people, and we'd say the mass participation element of races and marathons very much exists now. What was it like for you to take on your first marathon on the turn of the Millennium?
Obviously, I mean, it was just something that I'd kind of looked at. Obviously, you see the London Marathon, things like that, and I thought, well, that would be a good way to kind of mark it. But then, having not run before, I thought, how am I going to do this? So I kind of looked around, joined a running club. The running club that I joined, obviously the guys in there were very sporty, and a lot of them had previously done marathons. So that gave me the motivation, and that's kind of where it went from there.
Gary, how from the first marathon did you just fall in love with it straight away and lead into what we know now as We Run Wild NI?
You're very good. You got it right.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you where I was in falling in love. After my first marathon, I never wanted to run one again. that is where I was. But when you crossed that finish line, was that you hooked, Gary? Was marathon now your thing? Was it the 2000s were going to be the time that Gary just kept running marathon year on year?
I wouldn't exactly say it was my thing, no, to be honest with you. And I think probably the same as yourself and the same as everyone who crosses that finish line for the first time. It's that thought, why on earth did I ever do that? Why? And I'm never, ever going to do that again, because you cross that line and, you can hardly walk. But then all of a sudden you get that buzz and it's a sense of achievement. So, yeah, a couple of days later, you're kind of thinking, well, it wasn't really that bad. So maybe I'll have a look for another one and try again. So my first marathon was Belfast Marathon. I done it in 3:45. So I was quite pleased with that. I've ran, as you said, probably in around maybe 300 marathons. I've done Belfast multiple times since that, and I've never beaten that time at Belfast.
That was your first one, was the top one?
Yeah, so that was my first.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so my best time for a marathon, I'm not a fantastic runner, so my best time was in Berlin when I done Berlin Marathon, and I done it in 3:24. So that was the best.
Gary, can I ask, did you get married in 2017?
Again, yes, I did for the second.
Gary,
time, yeah.
Talk to me about, I never thought I'd ask this question in the podcast. It's 300 and odd episodes, and Eric's got a wedding coming up in a couple of months' time. So maybe he might take inspiration from you. But talk to me about your wedding day in 2017.
Well, both obviously myself and my wife were runners, so we thought, what could we do? So we organised a marathon, and we got married, and we ran a marathon. And then we went on our honeymoon, and on our honeymoon we also ran a marathon on our honeymoon.
Eric, I'll let you ask questions with your wedding coming up.
How did you convince them to do that? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you get married in the Essex, and then as soon as the ideas were done, that was it? We were off for 42k.
No, we got married in normal clothes, and then we got married in Carrickfergus Castle. Married in normal clothes, got changed, and then went out and ran the marathon.
And
I-
if you were to get an invite to your wedding, Gary, was part of it they had to clap you around the 42K, or what way did that work?
Yeah, we quite a few guests there actually, and quite a few of them ran, and a lot of local runners came along. They dressed up as well, fancy dress, and they ran too. TV came along, and it was on the BBC. So yeah, it was quite unique, quite fun. So, yeah.
I saw some of the wedding pictures on it, and just he said some of the guests dressed up and the way they were going for rum. Like, this is absolutely phenomenal. I was putting it together, I'm like, yeah, no, I mean that's you that did it. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. I definitely recommend it, Eric. So go for it.
Yeah. I'm just working it out on paper here. I actually save a fortune by running a marathon, so it's a good idea. And it'll take me that long to get around. I won't have to feed anyone. Obviously, it's a big part of your life, over 300 marathons. And again, I go back to marathon one and where we were. At what point did this become something that turns into 100 marathons, that turns into 200? Because 300 is a hell of a commitment. And from your first marathon in 2000, it's 25 years. That's a lot of marathons every year.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, the first number of years were very slow, and then once I met my wife, she was the motivation then for to keep on going. With her being a runner as well, we both just got into it, and ran marathons week after week, day after day, and traveled down south. A lot of our marathons were done obviously in the south of Ireland with the 100 Marathon Club. We would drive down on a Saturday and then back down on a Sunday. So yeah, it literally just got to the point where we got to a certain point, and it was I need to get to the 100. I need to get to 150. So yeah,
Well, I mean,
it does get a grip.
what was the 100 marathon? I mean, you got there. Was it like, okay, this needs to keep going? It wasn't like box ticked.
Again, obviously that milestone, the 100 milestone, I think we've done that in Clonakilty. And I think once I got that 100 milestone, it was right, okay, we've got 100 now, let's stop. And then you go, well, okay, right, maybe we'll go on. And, so yeah. And you
100
just
sounds
keep going.
good. But
Yeah.
200 sounds better. And at what stage, Gary, did you go, you know what, I'm loving this getting into marathons and stuff, but I want to do more. Like, I see you've done like 10 in 10 days. You've done Berlin 100 miler and stuff. When did you start going, I need to get more and I need to cram them in and have, I suppose, a want, baby, for all that mileage?
Trying to get the milestones is when, you're kind of looking at it and seeing, right, okay, I want to get that milestone before a certain point. So where do I get that? How do I get that? So you're looking at more, as you say, 10 and 10. We done 10 and 10 in England. We done 7 and 6. So 7 marathons, 6 days, and just start to cram them in. Just to get as many as you can. The quadrathon we done as well, and up in Donegal. So 4 and 4 days. So yeah.
How's the body?
No, it's wrecked. Yeah.
But during this, like,
I got to
quadrathon
that
can't be
point now
easy.
where I want to stop, so.
Yeah. Like, it wasn't like you were picking, it's not as an easy way to do 100 marathons or 200 marathons or 300 marathons, but like, 4 and 4 days in Donegal. I've never done quadrathon. Like, I can't imagine there's definitely hills and stuff and some of it, and Marathon de Sable as well, out in the Sahara, 6 different stages and stuff like that. Like, what was that like? I mean, I'm assuming not that a marathon's easy, but it's probably a lot easier to get it done around the track or somewhere in Ireland than trying to do in the Sahara Desert.
Yeah, the Sahara was tough. Now I have to say, obviously, I mean, tough in the sense of temperatures, because obviously, we don't have the temperatures here, so that was the hard part, trying to train for that. It was impossible to train in the heat. But obviously, I mean, it's not a marathon every day. It's slightly less, but the terrain, makes it more intense. So it is tough, tough temperatures. But I have to say, far more enjoyable than running road marathons, and that's kind of where we've moved on from. I don't go out and run road marathons really now. It's more off road and longer distance. So trying to fit in 26 miles, I'm not interested anymore. So it's the longer distance, and it's the off-road running, because obviously you're not under pressure as much, obviously, unless you're elite, but you're not under pressure. You get to enjoy it more. You get to see the scenery. You get to walk as well. So yeah,
It's a bit of an adventure sense to it as
adventure.
well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Was the desert marathon one of the only you did? And I ask from the unknown, Gary. I want you, if you can, take us on a journey of that 305 that stand out to you, and why? Because we talk about the 10. Sean has done Dublin 10, 11 times now, and one or two other long distance. I've done a handful, and we have stories to bait the band just from them. But with 300, there must be some in there that you're like, you know what, that was a really magical moment. And I remember, are there any races that stand out to you for very different reasons? Or does it all just begin to blend in?
No, I think they do. The kind of road marathons, I would say, blend in, obviously, as I've said, because, it's like running a circuit. You've got the head down, you're in the middle of a crowd, and, albeit some of those are very enjoyable as well, but, because you're in different locations. But there are obviously memorable ones. I mean, the Marathon des Sables was absolutely amazing, amazing event, and I would recommend anybody to go along and do that event. We ran in Switzerland, and we ran up Jungfrau. We done the Jungfrau Marathon. That again, fantastic time, and it sticks out as well because like you're running up the Jungfrau, halfway up or almost near the top, there's a piper playing pipes, snow in the background, and
Class.
100 milers. Say we've done Berlin. This will be our 11th year taking part in the Berlin 100 miler. Done Las Vegas. Las Vegas Marathon again stands out because you're running the strip. I've done the Marine Corps in Washington. It runs past the Iwo Jima Memorial, where all of the Marines were out, cheering as you go past. So yeah, there's quite a few there that I've got good fond memories of.
Brilliant.
And when you look at this, Gary, like we stood on the start line, and I always reference, because me and Sean tend to do the same thing. We always start together, and it's a high five, and we'll see it or we won't. It's usually how the marathon goes. But even still, there's a nervousness, there's an excitement, and the novelty is very much still there for us. Just the want for it is still there. When you line up on the front on the start of the Switzerland Marathon, knowing you're going to have to run up if you're in the desert, does it scare you a little bit? Is there an element of unknown for you, or is it a case of your body is so conditioned, it's just a case of let's just get started and enjoy it?
I wouldn't say I'm conditioned for it, to be honest. There is that fear, and the unknown, obviously. It's always great to sign up for an event, but whenever you actually do get to that point where you're on the start line, it's like, oh, am I going to finish this? Can I finish this? Is my body going to let me finish? So I just take it as it comes.
Gary, I do want to get into the events and stuff you run, but when I go away or stuff in holidays, even when we were at Barcelona the other week, one of the things I do is go up and see what the gym looks like, because I come from a gym background, or a different place to go see the gym is. When you go to all these events, does a part of you go, what way are you organising this? And they should have done it this way, should have done that way? Or do you switch off and go, it's just time for me to run, I'm not going to think about any of that kind of stuff?
No, to be honest, I kind of switch off. So I kind of switch off and just concentrate on the running side of things, rather than, try to think of what someone else has done or how someone else has organised anything, because obviously everybody's their own way of doing things, and you just don't know, how the event is kind of laid out, if that makes sense.
And on that, how hard is it? Because at the very start of this podcast, Eric touched on how events and stuff are like, compared to what they were back when you started the Millennium, they're a lot more and stuff like that now, but I don't want to say too much. You can kind of go anywhere, any which way. And like, for example, a couple of weeks ago, there was an events company in the UK went to receivership, and off the back of that, I saw the Kerry Way Ultra had a Facebook post talking about aspiring costs and stuff like that. Is it harder and harder for these events throughout the country to keep going now with all these different costs and stuff coming into it? Because at the moment, us runners don't think about that. I know we're taking it for granted. I was like, that race will always be there, but we're starting to see now that may not always be the case. Right, Eric, let me ask you this one thing. What is your number one recovery tip before a long run?
Besides not stretching, I always cheat and reach for Ultra Pure Wintergreen Heat Rub Cream.
Oh yeah, that's actually really good. It's perfect for tight muscles before you hit the road. All you have to do is just massage into your calves, your hamstrings, even your shoulders, and you'll feel that heat kick in straight away.
By the way your body is, Sean, you're definitely buying this stuff in litres. But it delivers fast-acting, non-greasy, targeted warmth right where you need it most. And it's not just about the heat, Sean. It combines wintergreen, rosemary oil, juniper berry, and caffeine powder.
So when you're feeling tight, aching, or just ready for your next run, Ultra Pure Wintergreen Heat Rub Cream is a must-have addition to your warm-up routine.
Trust us, your legs will thank you, and it's easy to carry in your sports bag.
Elevate your everyday with Ultra Pure.
Shop online now at ultrapurelabs.ie or find it in your local pharmacy or health store. By listening to this advert, you are supporting Irish businesses and this podcast. Let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, it is getting more and more difficult to put events on, obviously, due to rising costs of insurance and everything else taken into that, So it's a lot more difficult. But then, it's difficult. I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. It is, people don't understand what's involved, and before I started doing events as well, I would be in the same. You would turn up on the day, you pay your money, turn up on the day, and you go, "What am I paying my money for?"
Yeah.
I get a medal at the end of it. Is that it? But you don't realize everything else in between. It's the insurance, it's the medics, it's paying for the medals, trying to get them. It's the timing, it's all those bits and pieces. And people have a tendency, to look at what you charge for an event and think, wow, they're making a fortune out of that. It's not the case. It's definitely not the case.
Gary, when you, I know you said you show up to these races and you're thinking, you're not thinking, you're showing up, you're doing. There's an element of freedom in the event itself and the long distance where you begin to get a lot of headspace. Has that been really important for you throughout your journey?
Oh, very much so, yeah. Very much so, yeah. Once, when you get out there, and again, that's why I enjoy the longer distance, because, you get out there and everything kind of goes away. I'm there on that moment, I'm in the run, and I'm just enjoying being away from the hustle, the bustle, and everything else that goes along with it,
And at what point did that transition into, I'd love to do a few events, where in that journey did it go, do you know what, just running these isn't enjoyable anymore. I'd like to be involved in the organising side. And what made you go down that route?
I think obviously the enjoyment of running, and I always kind of, pardon me, thought in my own mind, I would love to organise an event. Being a runner, having been on kind of all sides, running a marathon, running a long distance event, wonder could I make an event, and I wonder would people come and I would like to try that to see. And thankfully, since we started We Run Wild, it's picking up, and we've got a lot of positive feedback. So I'm pleased on that sense, and I'm also pleased that I can do that and still take part in other events organised by other event organisers, so.
Gary, take us back to what event one was for you for We Run Ireland. We Run Wild. Oh my God. We Run Wild.
You've put me on the spot there now for that one, because I can't remember. I think our first event, we decided in 2019, and I think the first event we done it for a friend. So if I'm correct, and we raised money for he's almost blind, so we raised money for him to buy specific goggles. So
Oh, wow.
I think that was the first one that we done. So
And obviously, with your background, you guys have a lot of ultra marathons as well. The Famine Way running across the Royal Canal from Dublin to Roscommon. How did that one come about?
Again, all of our events are based in the north, so I was kind of looking in the south to see, could I do something in the south? And if I did do something in the south, what could I do? And I'd like to do something that was kind of meaningful. So one of the things I looked at was obviously the Famine Way. Given the history behind it as well, I kind of thought, well, that's a good start, and it's flat as well. So which is a big attraction for a lot of people. So we looked at that last year. We put it on last year. We ran from Strokestown to Dublin. It was a very last. We had announced the event early, but because of insurance, because of landowners' permissions, it dragged on and dragged on and dragged on almost to the last before we could open it up. So we lost a lot of intake for that, because obviously people who run 100 miles, they plan their calendars well in advance and they enter events. So, and say we lost out on probably a lot of participants for that. And then this year we put it back on again to see, obviously, if we could try and, get some people back. So we're now running it in reverse. So we're starting in Dublin, finishing in Strokestown. And then again, part of that reason as well, obviously, is because we were finishing in Dublin, and that's the route that the Famine residents took. Finishing in Dublin was just an absolute nightmare, because of, again, permissions, parking, costs. So we decided to run in the opposite direction, and they finishes at the Famine house in Roscommon, and they've been so accommodating and everything. So yeah.
I'd say it's like herding cats, Gary. How a 100-mile race can spread out. The range of athletes can be from your elites down to people who are taking on ultras, who are out all day, all night. How do you track people, particularly when you go from city? I know you're along the canals and stuff, and you're working way out, so there's an element of safety to it. But at what point and how do you track these? And obviously insurance. How do you get insurance to cover 100 miles and stuff? It must be very difficult to coordinate all of this.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, obviously insurance it's a specialized company that there are lots of specialized companies. So we just simply contact them, say this is the event that we want to run. That roughly here's the route and what permissions we need, and then they put together a package and come back and say, well, here's the cost. In terms of tracking them, everyone will for a distance like that. We give everyone a tracker, a GPS tracker, so we track them using GPS, so we can tell their locations exactly where they are, and then we monitor that. Anyone stops for longer than we would want, then we kind of ring them to see, are you okay?
You have a lot of some more races like that. You've doubled the Belfast this year. You have Belfast to Derry and stuff as well. Are they the kind of races you prefer, point A to point B, adventure races going through it, as opposed to, I think you have a 24-hour loop one as well. But do you prefer them personally?
I prefer point to point. Yeah, point to point. I think for me personally, point to point. I don't like the circuit. The hamster wheel as such, if you want to call it a hamster wheel. Personally, I wouldn't enter an event that goes in circles. I've tried it and it's not for me. Point to point, my personal opinion on a point to point is if you start, 9 times out of 10 you'll finish. You need to get to that finish point. Whereas going round and round and round, each time you pass that point, if your mind's not in it, the temptation is stop. And that is what I have done numerous times on circuits. So yeah, point to point. We took on, obviously we have one, as you mentioned there, Belfast 24. That was run by Atlas Running, who now have, due to ill health, they're not doing that event. So we've taken it on this year. So yeah, that'll, hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll be a good event.
Logistically, I can imagine though, you kind of wish you had a love for the loops and stuff, because it'd probably make your life a lot easier if everyone was contained, to Eric's point earlier, in this small little circle, instead of going from point A to point B and trying to catch up, and just the vast like, for example, I did a point to point there at the start of the year, and I was probably well back near the start when some of the guys were finishing up and heading home and getting back to bed and stuff like that. So I can imagine logistically it's probably better for you to do a loop.
Definitely, yeah. Logistically, the point to point is a nightmare when you're doing over 100 miles, whereas obviously the loop, it's, 2 miles or 3 mile circuit. So yeah, everybody's there, so yeah.
Absolutely.
It has its ups and downs, but I think obviously it's more rewardable, more enjoyable, I'm trying to encourage those people who are doing that point to point to actually get to the finish,
How do you do that? Like, for example, people are every which way.
Yeah. Coming in and out of the aid stations, we have our one called the Northern 100. We have, and this will be our 5th year running it. It's 108 mile point to point, and we have our indoor aid stations, and we have a good group of people who come along and support. And as the runners come in, we clap them in, sit them down, and cheer them. Feed them. They don't have to look after themselves. We look after them. Cheer them on the way out and give them encouragement, so, and it works.
Hydration is key to fueling endurance performance.
Perform Nutrition's Electrolytes Plus sachets have been specifically designed to fill the need for advanced hydration for athletes.
With 1,000 milligrams sodium, all essential electrolytes, and 2,500 milligram performance blend made up of glutamine, taurine, and coconut water powder, one sachet will replenish and revitalize your hydration.
Using natural flavors, natural colors, no added sugar, and no added fillers, each sachet has a sweet and lightly salted fruity flavor and comes in either mixed berry or citrus.
Informed, sport tested, and trusted by Olympians such as Kate O'Connor, world champion boxer Aoife O'Rourke, and pro triathlete Nikki Bartlett, and many more elite athletes.
Trust Perform to fuel your excellence, and by listening to this advert, you are supporting Irish businesses and this podcast. Now let's get back to the episode.
And for these races, do you need someone to be there with you, constantly going through for that support throughout the night? Like, I've seen people, pace is probably not the right word, almost going like Dublin to Belfast and stuff, and all of a sudden there's a breakfast stall or something halfway through. Do you have to have someone with you for these kind of races?
You don't have to have someone, no. Okay. No, you don't have to have someone. If you want to have your own crew with you, we're happy enough, that you have your own crew, obviously to help you, but not to run with you,
right.
Not to run, you can have a crew who can follow you in a car, help feed you. Part of the experience is that, you must carry your own gear as well. So you can't hand your gear off to someone in the car and they meet you up the road. You must carry all your own kit, so.
All your own kit.
Yeah, you've got to carry your own kit.
Gary, in the space of 30 minutes, we've gone from first marathon of the turn of the millennium to talking about ultra point to points like it's a walk in the park. You say you met your now wife and that helped you with the running. People usually are running from the other halves and they run longer out of the house longer. But that transition and we talked about the body and stuff. A lot of people are seeing people online, they're seeing these races and they're thinking, I'd like to try that, or maybe I'm never going to be able to that. What's your recommendation for people who do their first couple of marathons? And then, as Sean said earlier, they either decide to go faster or go longer. And how attainable are these races for the average person getting into running? And what's your recommendation as someone who's done so many?
I would say they're all achievable, to be honest with you. Anyone who's run a marathon can run an ultra. That would be my opinion. I mean, I started marathon running and then, went straight into ultra running. So, yeah, I mean, they are achievable.
And what is the best way, and again, I'm trying to lean on your experience here, to practice for this, to train for this, and one element you just mentioned is carrying your own kit. It's one thing having 10 gels in your pocket and a hope for a Lucozade station at mile 18, but what is involved in the practice element? Because most times in marathons we'll talk about, make sure you practice fueling on your runs, make sure you practice this on your runs. Where do you begin to go to start the prep for 100 miles and all that you need to carry?
Yeah, well, again, obviously it depends on the individual event, and obviously the kit and the aid stations and what's available. I mean, for example, we are going back to Berlin, so we've ran Berlin 100 mile, and it follows the old Berlin Wall. They have aid stations roughly about every 6 to 8 mile. Fully stocked aid stations. So really, there's no necessity to carry lots of food. They have 3 or 4 aid stations where you can leave a bag that you can pick up, so clothes and things like that. So that particular one is very well covered. Whereas the like of our 100 mile, the Northern Ireland 100, although we do have 2 indoor aid stations, a lot of the course is run across remote kind of areas. So you've got to carry your kit with you all the time. You've got to carry lots of fuel with you. One of our aid stations could be 18, 20 mile apart. So you need to have food with you, 6 mile, if you're relying solely on food for 20 mile, or shops or whatever, there isn't. So you've got to have that. So there's a difference, obviously, in certain events and the stuff that you need to carry.
The Berlin Wall, I suppose, such a historical figure. Like we've ran in nice places where we run through landmarks. We've seen fantastic sights. To run along that wall and the history that carries with it, I suppose, and also for you to go back, 10 or 11 times. I think you mentioned this could be the 11th time. What does this race mean to you? And, how many people are doing this race? Because I've never heard of it until this moment, but it's probably the first time I've actually peaked at going, you know what, that's a pretty cool thing to do, to say you ran along the whole wall, given the history of it and what keeps bringing you back.
Personally, I like Germany. I like the German people, and the events in Germany are so well organized. Everything is it's just regimental and it's done 100%.
As you'd expect.
Exactly as you would expect. Yeah. But we've just been made so welcome since the first time we done the event. The event runs opposite direction every year. So first year we went, we ran and we said, we'll come back and do it the opposite way. And, since that, we've just gone back every single year. So 11 years this year. And it hasn't changed from the first day that we went. The event is organized exactly the same. It hasn't changed. It's a fantastic event.
What time of year does it take place?
It's in August.
Eric, there you go. There's something for your honeymoon. He just disappeared on us there when he heard that idea, honeymoon, and he was gone. He was like, nah, I'm not doing that. Obviously with the Berlin, you're going across the Berlin Wall, you kind of know where you're going. Maybe switching a little bit, have you done any races where navigation became more important, or did you ever have an interest in doing one of those point A to point B races where you had to rely more on either a GPS or map or compasses, or it's just that's not really your kind of thing, Gary?
Yeah, we've done a few events in the UK where obviously GPS or GPX is a thing. So one of the very first events that we done in Cumbria, and it was 76 miles point to point, and we'd gone across, both my wife and I, we'd gone across to do this event, and whenever we arrived, we went and checked in and we were handed a book.
Oh, okay.
And we were like, what's the book? Well, that's your instructions. So literally the book told you where to go. So it was literally, you run up this lane, come to a tree, turn right, down the road to the next road on the left, turn left, come to the next signpost, turn right. And we looked at it and went, how on earth are we ever going to find our way?
Yeah.
So And that was kind of our first experience of kind of an ultra event in the UK.
Right.
And then whenever we started We Run Wild, we brought that concept here. So
Okay.
we ran some of our events, some of our marathon events using that same concept. And, it was pretty good. But yeah, again, we go over, we do events and you're using GPX, you're using GPS to find your way. Yeah, we've done one in Wales there, the Dragon, and it's GPX all the way as well. So yeah.
The races
It's
over
definitely
here.
the way to go. It's GPS is, it's the way to go.
The races over here, Gary, that involved that kind of the book, or probably now everyone probably use GPX or
Yeah.
GPS anyway.
Yeah.
What races are they?
All of our events, basically.
Oh, all of them are that kind of way. So
all of our point-to-point events are GPS, so they are. We don't sign post our events. Now, obviously, to go out and signpost, so the Famine Way, for example, to go out and signpost that would be absolutely impossible. To signpost our Northern Ireland 100, you just couldn't do it.
impossible.
The biggest problem with those as well, obviously, is you stand the risk of someone taking a sign down. We've put out signs in certain locations. Farmers have come along and taken them down. So that's the problems you're up against. So everything that we do now, with the exception of obviously the circuit, Belfast 24, and anything that's in an enclosed circuit, it's GPS, GPX.
And do you find most people take the same kind of routes in these things, or is there some years you go, oh, didn't know they go that way?
Most people will follow the same route. Yeah, but the biggest issue is trying to convince people to try it. A lot of people, obviously, who run marathons and then try to transition from marathon to ultra events. Ultra events are typically GPS or GPX. A marathon, they tend to have signs, or they have someone at a corner telling you where to go. Whereas when you start to go off road, you need to be able to look after yourself and find your way. So your GPX watch or a handheld GPS device is definitely the way to go.
From the limited ones I've done, I find you're almost more switched on to your surroundings and stuff like that. Like, we did a recent one over the weekend in Barcelona, and only afterwards Eric was like, "Yeah, no, we're past the hotel at this point." I'm like, "When did we pass the hotel? When was this a thing?" Like, I genuinely didn't know. And even when the wife met me for give me some more gels and Lucozade and everything else, or wasn't Lucozade, it was so mad paprika Lucozade. But anyway, she was like, "We met at this point," and I'm like, "No, this doesn't look the same. We couldn't have." But I've done 1 or 2 races where I'm like, if I come back to it now, like, oh yeah, I know it was here because I had to be more switched on, alert to know which way I was going. So in a way, it is nicer.
Definitely.
Gary, are these races, as in, are you getting competitors showing up to go, we are going to win this race? Or is this very much, I know that's probably, it answers itself. Of course, people are trying to win a race, but are you seeing more competitive athletes, or is it more people trying to just, let's call it what it is, because if I did it, it'd be surviving 100-mile races. What is, like, when you show up, probably not now, but on your first couple, were you thinking, can I win this? Is this something in? When people
Definitely not.
That's my boat.
Yeah, I'm a plotter. I'm there to make the numbers up. So yeah. No, I'd see where you're coming from, but yes, there are that small group. There are that small group who are coming and taking part, who are there to win. Who are seasoned ultra runners, but there are a lot more people stepping up and wanting to try and achieve the distance. So yeah.
That is refreshing to see. I remember even I think I saw the Kerryway Ultra, and I keep seeing our people in the podcast going, they come 22 hours, 23 hours, 24 hours, whatever it is. I'm like, 200K or near that, it's like, that's bananas. But then when I actually looked into it, I'm like, oh, that's not actually the norm at all. People are going, 30 plus hours, 36, 40 hours. I'm like, because that's my field. Like, I'm if I'm doing something like that, I probably am the best part of 2 days. But when you just hear, or the Instagram, I mean, it's phenomenal what they do, don't get me wrong. But when you do see something like that, or 100 miles, it's like, oh, that's for the elite of the elite. Like, but it's actually, if you want to go out and just, the bag is on, you're going for an adventure, you're not quite too sure where to go because there isn't someone marching in each corner. I think these races are great because I do have people going, oh, I'd never be able for a 50K. I'm like, you just did a marathon. Like it's there, like a marathon. It's not the distance, it's the pace that kills you. Like, you can go out and do a 10K tomorrow, but if you take off sprinting that thing, you may not finish. Whereas you pace yourself better for a 50 mile, you may actually have a better chance, as mad as that sounds.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And we had an event there at the weekend, and, it was a marathon and an ultra. So the ultra was back to back. So it was an out and back, 26.2 out, 26.2 back. And we had a girl who had entered that event thinking that she was entering a 50K. So it was her first ultra, but she hadn't realized she was entering 52.4 miles.
Oh, God.
So she finished it. She ran it, she finished it and done it amazing, absolutely amazing, and loved it. So
that is phenomenal. Even to think of how much fueling you're about to have to what you actually need to do that race, that distance.
Exactly. Yeah.
At what point did she realize, Gary? was it at the 26.2?
I think it might have been the day before or so. So yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Because it's some realization when you get 20 miles in and you haven't turned around yet.
Yeah. Yeah, she realized before she came to the start line, but as I say, she thought she'd signed up for 50K. She wanted to step up, and she'd only told me she'd only done 2 marathons. So,
what is the appetite for long distance now? Have you seen a growth in people? Like we've seen, you look at Dublin Marathon now as a lottery, and everybody is trying to do a marathon. Boston qualifying times have gone to something I won't see in my lifetime.
Yeah.
What is the appetite now for the long distance? Are people moving more towards that long distance because it's a little bit more niche now, that they can get tickets, they can get entries? And are you seeing a big growth in it?
It is starting to climb. It definitely is starting to climb. We are seeing a small growth in it here. But yeah, I think people are wanting to push themselves that little bit further. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. I don't think that people are moving because they can't get into the bigger events. I think it's possibly a case of, well, I've done a marathon, so what can I do next? That kind of attitude. But we're very, very limited here in the island of Ireland, the whole island of Ireland. So we're very limited on what's available compared to the mainland. And trying to get people from the mainland and further afield to come here is very, very difficult.
Gary, I just promised the other half I'll go back to 5 and 10Ks after my last marathon, but now I've got this urge to want to do another ultra marathon after listen to you. And if someone listening is the same and they go, you know what, maybe after whatever half is coming up, or maybe we're doing Belfast Marathon next month or Cork the month after that, and go, you know what, maybe I'm going to venture into the ultras. For their first ultra, Gary, what would you recommend on this island for them? Obviously, one of your events.
Of course, one of our races. Yeah, they have to come along. Yeah. Oh,
for your first.
For your first one, I would be kind of looking at something maybe in and around maybe 37 miles for a first ultra. Obviously, just slightly over, maybe 50 miles. So obviously, we've got a 50 miler in August on the Famine. So we're doing the 100, and we're doing a 50 from Mullingar to finish in Roscommon. So that would be a good start, actually, and it's flat as well,
Brilliant. And for someone for that kind of thing, what way does the aid stations and stuff like that go? If they're like, you know what, actually 50 mile, I'm gonna commit to that this summer now. How does it work from Mullingar going up, and in terms of aid stations and challenges in terms of, I suppose most was on the canal. There's probably not too much challenges in routing like that, or just GPX on the watch where you go.
It's GPX. So yeah, you'll have a GPX file. GPX, obviously you'll need to have a device with GPX on it. Use your mobile phone. Use an app on your mobile phone. You'll have a tracker on there. You'll need to carry obviously a certain amount of kit with you. Because it's flat, because it's not over mountains, it won't be, masses. And then we'll have aid stations at certain points along the route, possibly maybe 4 aid stations where you can refuel. So you will need to carry water. You will need to carry obviously gels or whatever you use there, and then we'll say from that.
Last question on that before someone puts before people are thinking about signing up. What time does it start at, Gary? Just in case it's one of those, this is midnight kind of runs and through the night kind of things for extra cool challenges. What are we looking at?
It will be, yeah. It'll be probably in around midnight.
Midnight start?
I think so.
I was sounding too easy, Gary. It was sounding too easy. I knew it.
I remember, but off the top of my head, I think it quite possibly could be midnight, yeah. Because I think we're allowing in around about 12 or 14 hours, something like that, off the top of my head.
There's something unique and nice about that, though, in fairness, when you do a midnight run or a late night start.
Best experience, is getting out in the middle of the night with a head torch on. Yeah, great.
It sounds mad until you do it, and I've done a few overnight runs, and they are like people are like, how do you sleep and stuff like that? But when you're in it, like now afterwards, I feel so tired and wrecked and stuff. But during it, I can honestly say that bar one, sleep has never been an issue. And I'm someone who my bedtime's 9:30, 10 o'clock nearly religiously. Like, so it sounds like a hell of an experience.
It has its moments, when you're going for, maybe 25, 26 hours nonstop, and you've still got a bit to go. The eyes start to go, and wouldn't be the first time I've held on to my wife with my eyes closed and said, while she's running, So yeah.
24 is my absolute limit. I only done it once, Gary. So unfortunately, I can't relate to going that long.
Never say never.
Absolutely not. Gary, it's been absolutely brilliant. Listen, we're going to have those links and stuff in the show notes as well. I'm going to try one last time. We Run Wild NI. I just stopped there. I'm actually very proud of myself.
At some point.
Eric, take us home from there.
It has been a pleasure to have you on. Thanks for giving the insights, and thanks for planting the seed of Berlin 100 mile. It is something to think about, and definitely one that I know probably a lot of the listeners haven't heard about. But the very best of luck. We hope all the races and the race series go well for you this year, and you never know, you might see Sean on one. You probably won't see me on one just yet. I have to get over the marathon first. But it's definitely something for people who are looking for something a little bit longer, and well done on the hard work of organising, and the best luck with all the running.
Thanks very much, and thanks for inviting me on the show. Yeah, appreciate it. And you're more than welcome to come along and take part in one of our events. Just send me a wee message and we'll get you signed up.
Somewhere down the line, me and Eric are going to high five and start at one of your events, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Great job.
And on that note, thank you very much for listening to this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast. Myself, Gary, and Eric. Take care.
Cheers. Thanks.